to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the 1 o'clock general meeting of the Southampton Town Trustees. I will ask the Secretary Treasurer to commence with the calling of the roll.
Scott Harwitz.
And here.
Ed Warner here. Chip Marin.
Here.
Joe McLaughlin.
Present.
And Matt Parsons.
Here.
All right. Thank you. Just for information, their next work session will be December 2nd at 9:30 a.m., followed by our 1 p.m. general session. Going to jump right into it here today. We have a couple of public hearings on. So the first one is a notice of public hearing on amendment of rules and regulations for the management and products of the town waters, our blue book, considering amending the management and products of the waters for the town of Southampton. Article 18, Section 80 and 81, seconded by Trustee McLaughlin. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is open. I will give the floor to Special Counsel Joseph Lombardo.
Good afternoon. The amendments that we have to the Blue Book are somewhat housekeeping. The first one is to address the issue of watercraft floats and amend the fee schedule to requirement that they have to submit the fee that will be in effect the day they make the application, as opposed to the $250 that was reflected in the old Blue Book. Second one is to combine the personal watercraft floats. Generally, the permits are not combined, but in certain situations, it might be advisable to. The homeowners can make that request to you, and the trustees, of course, have the discretion to grant or deny. And the third amendment, in emergency permit situations, a requirement that photographs of the damage be submitted with the application for the emergency permit.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay, so as you said, it's just some housekeeping. I mean, there are some times at which the PWC floats, make more sense to be adjoined where they're not going to be drastically having a negative impact on submerged aquatic vegetation or the bottom in any way, shape, or form, and it just makes more sense to do that. I think that's good, and obviously on the emergency situations, the most documentation, the better. I don't know if anybody else has a...
That and the PWC floats, many people put them on the end of their, the 6x20 standard float, and it sometimes extends over the property line. So, if you have two floats, one on each side, you combine them and you can make them so that one side or the other doesn't extend over, with the riparian rights and issues with people, navigation in and out of their docks. It might be a good idea to take this upon, and change the regulations.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
To be clear, the two vessel regulation is still in effect. So if they combine them on one side, they can't put, if they have two jet skis, they can't put a boat on the other side
Right.
of the float.
Yeah,
Correct.
we're not. Yeah, correct. We're not changing.
One float is considered a vessel.
Yes.
One vessel. So if they have two jet ski floats combined and there's two jet skis on there, they can't have a boat attached to the floating dock.
Right. That's
According to your
according to the Blue Book. Yeah, what we're talking about with this is not having to separate those two. Let them be together and joined, because it may make a lot more sense with their site plan and with what they have going on. Whereas now we want them as separate, but it makes more sense to do them as joint. It doesn't change any of the other provisions of the Blue Book. It's just the situating of those float apparatus. Further, there'll be further revisions, perhaps to the Blue Book as we go, but this is just addressing this specifically, these specific points. I don't know. You want to add any more clarification to that, Joe? Or you good?
No, it's, you got it. Oh, excuse me, guys. So at this point, I would suggest that you close the public hearing, and we have a notice of adoption in the agenda for later today.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody on Zoom that wants to speak on this public hearing? No one. Good. And anybody here want to speak on this public hearing? I don't see any hands here. So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. I'll now move to public portion. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board for whatever reason for a few minutes? Now is your time to speak, okay? If you could take the podium and there should be a sign-in sheet there. You could sign in and state your name for the record, give you 3 minutes to address the board on what your topic is.
The topic is by invitation from Joseph, who had visited my community, Bayview Oaks in North Sea, had a very extensive tour, and he said some of these things should come to this whole group. And so I'm not asking for any problem solving today. I'm just going to make out loud the observations that we had. That the question for myself, Dan Sheridan, president of the community, is things come up and how do we take care of this? Or sometimes you think you've taken care of it, someone says, oh, we'll get back to you, and there's no someone coming back to us. So as I'm starting, these are little handouts. Take one. It's an example of things we encounter. Okay, yeah, I'll keep talking. This is an example of something at the current time is occurring for Bayview Oaks. Backtrack, we are a not-for-profit corporation. Unique status in our existence that was formed in 1958 is that then in 1964, New York State deeded to us 865 feet of the beach of Little Peconic Bay, and we also own a boat ramp area that we have title and deed for going into Fresh Pond, and we have 2 large right-of-ways going to Little Peconic Bay. So this is a lot of very desirable property, and to join Bayview Oaks, you need to buy property. So no one joins Bayview Oaks. You say, well, I'd like to live there, I'd like to get a house. You come in, you're in. You're part of sharing, and no board oversees or says to the residents, here's what we've decided. On big decisions, the residents have a public meeting and everyone decides. So the biggest events are decided by the community having its public meetings. So it's very open and very proud of the things we own. What we're becoming aware of is there are many more commercial enterprises like Bayview Oaks. You can make a lot of money in our community, apparently, by building rentals, LLCs, where the people coming in have no intention of living in Bayview Oaks. Their intention is to make money in Bayview Oaks, even though our community is not allowed to do that. We cannot conduct business. Businesses are coming in to conduct business. And part of that, they don't register to be on our role of residents to pay dues, with very minimal dues. And the waterfront situations, we're finding people will falsify whatever they can get away with. And so that's why I want to address today.
So when you say falsify, because
You're holding in your hand, I'm going to give you an example.
Well,
yes.
I get you. Let me say this correct. So you're like, I'm hearing like a homeowners association,
Yes.
right?
Well, not homeowners, we're the not-for-profit corporation.
But
So we
but you-
can't tell any homeowner how to run that house.
I got that, but it's you got
Functions
lots.
like
People
that.
are buying property. They have lots, whether they build a house or not.
Right.
They own a lot. They
Correct.
own a percentage of
That
that.
is correct.
They have like deeded rights to the boat ramp and the easement,
Yes.
and all of this
Whether
stuff.
they pay their dues or not, they have to be allowed to use anything we have.
It's a
Yes.
deeded right.
Yeah, it's a deeded right, yes.
Right. And you're saying that some of these folks are not intending to live there, but they're just intending to.
Airbnb rentals, and then their rentals can use whatever.
Okay. So
So
Okay,
an
so that's
example I just became aware of, because you have a permit in for a beach repair in front of a house.
Okay.
Waterfront house.
That's what's
I just want to get to the crux because
Yes.
this other stuff's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So I want to get to the crux of what would be in our jurisdiction. So go ahead.
So you have back-to-back maps. One map at the out in the bay. On one side says land of Baby Wokes, and the other map doesn't say that. It says Suffolk County tax. And so what we've become aware of is the confusion about does Baby Wokes really own this area or not.
That's a question.
Thank you.
With the permission to do a rock revetment or any kind of, oh, that's right, the term is beach restoration. Now, does that come under your section?
Well, sometimes it does. If it's a land that, you know, we own the underwater lands and we have
Yeah.
up to the high tide mark or it's an area that we regulate because, you know, there were permits that were issued years past to
Yeah.
dig canals, which then changed the high tide mark, which then brought the trustees in to
So the
say,
Baby Wokes Beach is not determined by high tide line. That's what's odd about it from New York State. We go out into the water. So whether the water is up or down, it's the same Baby Wokes property. Homeowners own to their high tide. So they can do a revetment or whatever to save their property as far as their building monuments are, but they can't start coming onto property that belongs to Baby Wokes. And in doing the work, any machinery coming in to do that work needs permission of Baby Wokes to come onto the beach or go through our right-of-way to do that work. And you were part of this with Suffolk County
Yep.
about
Yeah,
repairing
property
the
owner.
right-of-way
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So even Suffolk County asked our permission.
Sure.
They followed the correct step. So my questioning to you is how do we keep making that public, that you need to ask questions, that you need the permission? We never said no, we just want everything to be correctly observed. That we don't come in one morning and there's machinery closing the beach.
In this particular area, first off, it's Little Peconic Bay, which is
Yeah.
state-owned underwater lands.
Correct.
The trustees don't have any jurisdiction down there. Any of the properties that you're talking about that are going to do a rock revetment or any
Yeah.
shoreline restoration would come under the purview of the Conservation Board because
Correct.
you know we
Watershed,
don't,
yes.
you know, it's outside of our purview.
Okay.
Inside of Fresh Pond,
Different.
it's different.
Yes.
So anything
Good.
that's done down there, as you know from your community doing projects down there,
Right.
contact the Conservation Board. We did champion to the cause of putting the sand on the east East Shore Drive last dredging, not this dredging cycle, the one before,
Yes.
and talking to the county, they want to alternate, which is their future plan,
Yeah.
from year to year, one to the west, one to the east, and they also wanted to evaluate the material being placed on the East Shore Drive
Right.
to see if it stayed there, how long it stayed there, or if it completely washed back into your inlet, which.
And you are quoting my next thought. I
Yeah.
wanted to say to her, how do we evaluate all these projects that get done? We've had 5 rock revetments in Baby Wokes now.
Yeah.
How do we evaluate to say, this works, that doesn't work? And
Well,
that
I
kind of
mean,
thing.
talking to Tom Watson from your community
Yeah.
prior, and some of your other community members, the board did recommend a jetty to be placed on the east side of the inlet out into Peconic Bay,
Yeah.
which would be, you know, permitting from the DEC,
Right.
not from us, and that would slow the transition of sand into the navigable channel.
Right.
That was one of the recommendations
Yeah.
when I was first on the board, and I think it was a good recommendation, but it
Right.
was never followed through.
Yeah.
So we did take the county to task, and some of the homeowners, as you know, asked the county to place the sand on the east side, which it hadn't been placed there, I believe, for 30 plus years.
Correct.
And now the county's going to evaluate whether, how long the sand stayed there, and whether it's something that they could do in the future again.
And again, about that jetty, this year, I also had called Suffolk County with Scott Hillary, and recommended again. He said, well, we don't have a budget like that. And then he said, boating lanes would have to be redefined if the rocks went out too far.
Yeah.
But the jetty that is there now is almost sunk in. You don't even realize that there was a jetty there at one time.
Yeah.
So it's time for that whole project to be readdressed. But so you're right on track with the questions I'm in. So we'll skip over now to the pond. You have a picture there of the pond from 1947. And other issues, Davy Wokes is at the bottom of Noyak Road as a hill. We're at that low point. So at Lake Drive North, the center entrance to Davy Wokes, runoff rain, snow melting, all that comes into Davy Wokes. When you're on Lake Drive North coming in, that's where there is a first drain pipe going into Fresh Pond. That pipe originally was a large concrete drain above ground. In 1975, people of that time requested the highway department to make it a flat drain because people trying to back a boat in were always hitting into the curb. And the town did that. So that worked out well, but that original drain is falling apart now. 7 years ago, I asked the town to inspect, and they found one area where it had caved in. They did a patch. Now, near the pond end, we have a constant dripping of water that's receding the boat ramp. The ramp is crumbling. No point in repairing it until we get that leaky pipe fixed.
Speak to Highway Department.
I've called. Yes. Yes, we went through. Someone will get back to you. Well, here I am. So the drain itself, if we're inspecting now, because of that Noyak Road situation, it's collecting debris. So even the drain should be cleaned. Now, is that your department or Highway Department?
Highway.
Highway. Parallel to that drain at Lake Drive and East Shore Road, so it's in front of our main right-of-way, is an example of the original form of that drain from 1947. It is still the concrete curb. It dumps water into the pond. In high tides, like we're having the lunar tides now, even though we're in a drought, if at high tide today you drove down there, there's a giant puddle in the street because the pond is coming through the pipe and up into the street. Water comes up in that situation. My recommendation to the highway department last year was remove the whole setup. Why are we still draining into the pond and polluting it with road situations? To create different other ways to have drains. So that question about the pond and the drainage is question 2 here, and you're giving me some answers. How do we address it more?
Go to the town.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of stuff here that's not really in the purview of the trustees. It's not.
I just think of you as
We're-
water.
I hear what
You're
you're
water,
saying.
So
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, but the thing is, everyone's got their jurisdiction
Yeah,
and
yeah.
authority, and I don't step on their toes. They don't step on mine.
Yeah.
And everybody should really work together to try and remedy, because obviously, you don't want runoff directly running into
Right.
any of our waterways. You try to mitigate that. Unfortunately, a lot of the infrastructure is set up that way.
Yes.
And people are trying to unwind these situations, but it's in a massive town and a massive expense, and you can only do what you can do. So, a couple things you got here. You're gonna have to make a call back to Highway.
Okay.
They're on TV
My
now, so
friends.
if somebody's watching it,
Yeah.
they'll get the message.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you have on your list there?
Yes, continuing around the pond, trustees are in charge of a trustee right-of-way from Oak Grove Road into the pond for anyone, including outsiders of Bayview Oaks, to be able to, they've docked in the pond, to be able to get to their boat in the pond. So you have situations, people pay to dock a dinghy there so they can row out to their boat. And there are some boats that are docked along that area. That whole area is collapsing from erosion, that somewhere in a budget, a serious makeover is needed for that right-of-way. That you're going down an eroded pathway to get in. It's a big mess. So
Is
you took
it
pictures
county
of it
property
that day.
or is it?
I lived there since 1958. I've always been told it's trustees. It used to have a sign there, trustees of Southampton. An earlier time when I needed a permit, I saw the trustee, Scott Stroud.
GIS is
So right away, we don't own it. we only have a right.
You regulated it, yes, you
But
regulated
we
it.
don't own it, that's the point.
Right,
That
so
would
if
be
if
the
it's, if
county.
it's a right of way that we have and we don't own it in Suffolk County, we would have to bring our legislator
And
into
I
it.
sent her, I did speak with her, I sent her the pictures, so I invited her, so hopefully,
I don't mind collaboratively working with the county, but if they own the property, they're gonna have to have some skin
I
in the
just
game.
know it's not Baby Woke, so.
Right, well, you know what, it's important, it's a good thing that, you know, look, you get dredging done, it's important, you have to have a public component there
Mhm.
to keep things open and running. So it's good that you've got a public component going in there, but when it comes to budget,
Mhm.
if it's owned by the county, we'll have to continue the conversation engaging somebody from the county.
So how do we do that?
Well, we
Like,
just
I
make a
can be
phone-
the thorn
I
in your
would,
side
I
to
would
keep
call,
that
I would
happening.
call Legislator Welker.
and I have, and I did speak with her, so I spoke with her via email. So she is aware of it, but I will follow up with her.
And you're welcome to follow up with your county legislator and Welker as well,
Yeah, so that's, again, you're
right?
helping
And then
with
we could
this.
all collaborate and try and figure out how you get to where you want to get to, but you got to bring the proper jurisdictions in, so that's what I would do.
So end of the line of the pond, we're going around Oak Grove Road where it ends. We were always told that that is a trustee regulated beach. So this is where the spoils from the inlet went for this year. And that's supposed to be a beach where dogs are allowed. But this year only, the signs disappeared. I called the highway department saying, was there a change in the jurisdiction about this beach? And I was told, no, there wasn't. They even sent a highway department truck to check out what was happening as I described it. And the highway department person I was speaking to said they can get there quick because that's the only Oak Grove road in all of Southampton, so they know exactly where it is. So down they went, and everything that was there a year ago is not there now, and so that's why I'm here with asking you, because my whole life I was told the trustees take care of this space.
We don't have any jurisdiction there. We don't have any ownership, easements, or deeded
Whatever.
rights.
Yeah.
But I know we have recommended to the county that it would be a deposition site for the dredging of the inlet at Fresh Pond.
Right.
That's pretty much what I did my whole time as a trustee and the prior trustees that had that area. So
Yeah.
that's probably how it became known as trustee, but it was just a recommendation of us putting the material there for beach nourishment.
So
Yeah.
dredging out a bottom that we own
Yeah, but
onto.
Yeah, but
an
as I
area.
understood it, when Bayview Oaks was constructed, the trustees lost the access to Fresh Pond. The access ways that were there were either traded or sold or manipulated.
It was again back to my childhood. If we wanted a permit to have a boat in the pond,
Yes,
we
that's
used to have
correct.
to come to a trustee's
Well, that's
office.
because we
and then-
still own the pond, but the
pond.
actual access and egress into the pond was lost somewhere along the way.
somewhere. Yes, it's still that remains a mystery.
That should be looked into. That should be
Because the
looked into.
pond, the Bayview Oaks used to take care of the pond, dredging it regularly. Then all of that stopped, and as we know now,
Yeah.
the water is getting polluted and all. So
Yeah, it's uncertified now, so the water quality has gotten much worse.
much
over the
worse.
last
You can
10
smell
years.
it at night sometimes. and all.
Now, the piece of property that's alleged to be a trustee or a county right of way, that has a tax map number, right? So maybe we can do a look.
Okay.
I'd like, what? You have it up there, yeah.
Good.
Maybe do a little bit of research on it to see ownership, and maybe something in our trustee minutes would reflect some more information on what we're talking about.
When Bayview Oaks had the town water system put under the streets, we all noted that piece of property got a water cap to have water connected to if someone wanted to sell it to build a house in that spot. So obviously water was not connected, but a connection point was designed there and is still there.
The vault is still there.
And we made us wonder, is this property going to not be a right of way anymore? Can you just ask these questions when you see what's different? So again, you're asking questions that give a new lead for us to ask questions. So that's good. All right, well, that's.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I'm
yeah,
just,
you got.
I'm just trying to, where do we go from here?
Well,
on
yeah, I think you got
questions?
pointed in direction. You have some other places to go.
Yeah.
Back to the highway.
Yes.
back to the county legislator, and if people call us about it, you've informed us of the issues, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that's really, we could do some research on this county-owned right-of-way that the trustees have, because it is important to have the public component.
Yeah, that's my whole life. So you're saying you don't own it is a,
Well,
that's a big surprise
well,
today.
we're not
I'm
sure.
not sure.
We're not sure, and a lot of times what you see on these, are not correct, and
Yeah.
it requires research.
Yes.
But if it could be something that the county owns that we have a right of way over.
That would be the only access we have.
Well,
the public has is that.
And that's important. It's important that there is public access. I mean, you have a lot of county taxpayer money spent on dredging this,
Yes.
and
you
there needs to
and
be.
the Bayview Oaks right of way doesn't allow access, so it's very important.
That's a
for that
problem
other one
because
to be
the
open.
county dredge committee weighs in heavily on public access to
Yes.
the waterways they're spending county taxpayer dollars on. So
But again, as Ed knows from our other experience, we always say yes. If the county says, "Can we come through?" Fine.
well,
What about somebody from the surrounding community that's not part of Bayview Oaks that wants to utilize that access road? How do you feel about that?
They can. Not the Bayview Oaks path, but the right of way we're talking about. That
That
West
county road.
Right,
the
so
Oak
that-
Grove Road is open to anyone.
yeah, we got to look. Shooting
Yeah.
from
No,
the hip
that's
here is
not-
never a good
So
thing.
Bayview
So
Oaks is not excluding people from using the pond, but the permits about the use of that for storage or whatever, that's all out of the Bayview Oaks hands. So that's why I'm asking the question.
we have to check
It
that
would be in
out.
the subdivision map when this place was done, all that information.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll have to do some research.
Map file, the underlying planning file would have it.
Yeah,
We'll have to take a look.
All right, that'd be interesting, because that's a very old map I just gave you. That's-
yeah.
Don't be surprised if you don't find the planning file. This last week I had 2 subdivisions I was doing research in. They can't find the files, so.
This property says there is no subdivision.
Because this was an estate, Bayview Oaks was an estate, and so the whole footprint of where we are was the original
Carve it
estate.
up into buildable lots, you have
Yes.
to have a subdivision, that's the law.
Okay, well, this is, whatever you know, Conic Shores and their shenanigans, it's a long time ago.
All I'm gonna tell you is if you go to the building department, don't be surprised if all they give you are survey maps that are filed with the
Right.
county for the subdivision.
Well,
Yeah.
let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt and do some research. You have some additional phone calls and jurisdictions to approach, and then we could take a look at some things.
Well,
I'll have Trustee McLaughlin. This is your area.
Yeah,
yeah.
You can shepherd this research through to make a determination,
we'll do.
and
And in
then
the day of your visit, he gave me so many good ideas. I mean, that's why I'm here today, that we follow through on this. And even now, I won't feel as foolish calling some of these offices where they give you a blow off of whatever, It's very, they know how to give the answers to make you go away. So
And
if
any
it's,
support for water quality issues that you're addressing, though it's not our jurisdiction, we can have sway to
well,
say we support water quality.
support projects, especially for runoff and drainage.
Yeah.
You
well,
know,
as I say, that's a
but-
big factor for us.
No, I've been in that community. Everything slopes down.
Everything goes down,
Yeah.
water's under it.
Yep.
Live on an aquifer, so the water is,
Yep. Yeah.
as I say, the water comes up through there. So that's the situation. All right?
all right. Thanks
Thank
for
you very much.
thanks for coming.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, so moving into the application for permit. So the Board of Trustees, is there somebody you want to speak, or you?
Just state your name for. the record,
Bill
please.
Ward,
Baby Oaks.
the part where the boat ramp, as you said, everything dredged right down there, all the water, from Noyak Road all the way down. It's pretty filled up now. I don't know if that's your jurisdiction, or, I mean, it could use a couple of scoops or something to get all the
From
junk out
the
of it.
drain.
Yeah,
So generally, the highway department can go down there with a machine and they can scoop that. If it's coming out of their drain.
That's privately owned by Baby Oaks. He's talking about, right?
Oh, it's-
The
well,
ramp that
I'm
you
talking
guys
about
have.
the actual, in the water. It's, it's the
In
water.
the water.
Right, but if
becomes
it's-
ours.
Right, but if it's privately owned, but you see, yes, it
Drain
is.
not private, the drain is the town.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
You're saying that the land there is privately
This,
owned, but
this parcel here is privately
but the
owned.
material's coming from the town's runoff. right? So sometimes in years past, there have been areas where they would do what you said, bring their own machines.
Smith Street.
Exactly. Smith's Creek, take a couple of scoops out of it
Right.
and just.
I think Matheson years ago said he was gonna do it and never did it.
That's a long time.
That's another conversation, and again, like to Trustee Marin's point, approach the highway department, and if they could refer back to us, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we're in favor of this going on. It's our bay bottom, and the synergy has to work, but you got a couple of more approaches that you need to
Okay,
make.
should start with the highway.
You're gonna have to start with the highway, because some of the stuff that you had was clearly in the highway's jurisdiction, and you have this other issue that you should contact legislator Welker on, and then we can continue to have conversations.
There's a letter from the North Sea Fire Department. They used to launch their fireboat out
Yeah.
here, and when the airplane crashed in,
Yeah,
that was their staging area.
We're on their map for staging.
Yep.
The main large right of way.
You can't speak from there, sir. You gotta come up.
The
You
large
can't.
right
No,
of
come
way.
on up.
You can come up and you can speak from here.
The large right of way, Lake Drive and East Shore Road, that was designed with the fencing can be knocked apart in a second for trucks to be able to go through
Right.
because of what you're doing.
Right,
Different
that's-
lines of a plane would go down. So the North Sea Fire Department used that as a rescue point.
Right. That's all important information.
There's been letters written to us helping them dredge it out.
So, right. So, again, Joe will, it's his area. He'll help you shepherd it. Make the phone calls you have to make, and then we'll follow up. And you can feel free to call myself or Joe, and we'll go from there.
Very good.
just anticipating the highway saying, oh, no, that's not our department, that's in the water.
Well, no. Well,
Why don't we just?
they could call us. Just have whoever
Yeah.
call us, because
Okay.
we've worked with the highway in the past in situations, and Ed just gave an example, Smith's Creek, where you have a similar situation, but highway came and they literally took a few scoops out and they were done with it. So we've had this, and you even said that prior highway super was gonna engage in that.
Yes.
So we've done this before. So we don't want to put anybody on the spot. We're not making commitments for anybody, which is why we're kind of advising. You have to make your approaches, and if people are going to come to us, to help collaborate solutions for them, we don't have a problem with that. Okay, but you got to follow the protocols.
Yes. Well, I have with that, a couple times a year I call the highways office on this whole agenda, and that's why I'm here. Nothing happens. They give me the nice talk,
Well,
but nothing happens.
see if you can set up a meeting with the deputy highway superintendent, perhaps, to show him exactly what the situation is. It's probably what you should do, because the highway superintendent is busy. He's done a fabulous job and is doing a fabulous job, and it's a huge town. I mean, there's problems at every corner of the town, and I'm bombarded with emails. It's like impossible to keep up. I would ask for the deputy, see if you can get a little bit of a meeting together so you can show him what's going on. Legislator Welker, if that's the case, we could do some research over what the ownership is. But if it's something that's owned by the county, that we have this right of way over, public, emergencies and access is important. You came here, that's great. You've alerted us to this so we can have good conversations with the other, authorities. But you need to, you got a few more approaches that you're gonna have to make.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I say, that's what we're doing.
No, I see that.
Who's out there?
I see that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So good, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room here like to address the board? Anybody on Zoom wants to jump into public portion? Okay, so let's go right into the closing of public portion. I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor? Okay, public portion is closed. Let's go to application for permits. Board of Trustees hereby waives a public hearing on the following applications because it has been determined that the following projects do not raise a significant degree of public interest or public input is not needed to aid in the decision-making process at this time. First one I have is 2024-308. It's 20 Tarpon Road, tax map 900, 362-3-35. It's a Shinnecock Shores Canal. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Trustee resolution 2024-309. First renewal application for Pine Neck Landing Association, South End Landing Lane, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-362-1-48, body of water, Shinnecock Bay. It's a renewal, so I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will abstain from this as I am president of Pine Neck Landing Association.
Trustee Resolution 2024-310. This is the first renewal application with Lee Spiegel, 192 Redwood Road in Village of Sag Harbor, tax map 903-1-2-7. This is a renewal application, so I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
2024-311. This is an application of 390 Fowler Lane in LLC in Watermill. This is the body of water of Jewel Pond that we discussed in last work session. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
2024-312 application. This is Thomas A. Walker, Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York. Body of water is the Atlantic Ocean. This was spoke of in the last tax session. Sorry, in the last work session. I recommend its approval.
I'll second it.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
2024-313. This is a first renewal application of Ryzak Realty LLC, 74 Ferry Road, North Haven. It's a renewal application. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
2024-314. This is the first renewal application of SVJ Group LLC, 78 Ferry Road in North Haven. This tax map 901-6-5-50. Again, this is a renewal application. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Resolution 315-24. This is application of Lisa Berry at 15 Robinson Lane, Shinnecock Hills. Number 900-211-4-4. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Trustee Resolution 315-24. This is application of 279 Millstone Brook Road, North New York. Section tax map 900-110-2-15. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Trustee Resolution 317 of 24. This is application of 11 Helens Lane, North New York. Application of 900-1-1-76. I recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Got trustee resolution 2024-318, application of Joseph A. Bondi, QPRT at 10 Cox's Cove Road in the Village of West Hampton. I get a second on this?
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2024-319, application of Vitris at 1517 Real Estate Holdings LLC, 11 Pine Tree Lane, West Hampton, New York, on the Spionk River. Get a second on this, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have 2024-320 to set the trustees meeting and work session dates for 2025. You'll see this is traditional and historical and over the last years. It's listed right there for you. Thank you, Jess, for putting this together. I'd like to make a motion just to memorialize this.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye. Trustee resolution 2024-321, resolution to amend the Board of Trustees fee schedule for 2025. We'll discuss this, looked at it, went over it.
Yep.
So I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Parsons, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2024-322, it's a notice of adoption on amendment of Blue Book A340, amending the management and products of the waters of the town of Southampton, Article 5, Section 36 for moorings, whereas the trustees of Freeholds and Commonality of the Town of Southampton considered a change in the rules and regulations, whereas the Board of Trustees of Freeholds and Commonality of the Town of Southampton held a public hearing on Monday, November 4th at 1 p.m. to hear any and all persons, either for or against, were heard. Now therefore be it resolved that Article 5, Section 36 of the Rules and Regulations for Management Products of the Town of Southampton, a.k.a. the Blue Book, is amended as follows. The Board of Trustees for the town desires to update the Blue Book, A340, in order to establish wait lists for mooring fields to prevent overcrowding and create a hazard to safe navigation.
I'll give you a second on that.
Seconded, Trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
I have Trustee Resolution 2024-323. It's a notice of adoption on amendment of Blue Book A340, amending the management and products of the waters of the Town of Southampton, Article 18, Section 80 and 81. Whereas the trustees and freeholds and commonality of the Town of Southampton considered a change to the rules. The board held a public hearing on Monday, November 18th. At 1 p.m. to hear any and all persons either for or against were heard, and now therefore be it resolved that Article 18, Section 80 and 81, 5 rules and regulations for the management and products of the water is hereby amended as follows. Board of Trustees for the Town of Southampton desires to update the Blue Book A340 to amend requirements for personal watercraft, hoists, and floats, as well as require photographic documentation to accompany any application for an emergency permit issued by the trustees.
Give you a second on that.
Seconded, Trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have Trustee Resolution 2024-324. It authorizes the president to sign a second lease extension for the Conscience Point Boat Ramp. This is a 120-day extension. We understand there's a bit of a controversy surrounding this boat ramp, but we are engaged in making sure that we protect the interests of the commercial baymen and the recreational users in having a boat ramp that everybody can respectfully utilize that resource for accessing the waters. Seconded by Trustee McLaughlin. All in favor?
Aye.
Waterfowl hunting location permits. I have Trustee Resolution 2024-325. Applications for transfers and additions and removals of co-permittees. I have 1 through 11. I will list them. I have permit number 76, permit number 68, permit number 248, permit number 101, permit 157, permit 237, permit 202, permit 229, permit 109, permit 18, and permit 23. I will make a motion that these transfers be approved.
Second.
Seconded, Trustee McLaughlin. All in favor?
Aye.
I have Trustee Resolution 2024-326. Return spot to wait list. Board of Trustees find subject to project type 2 action. Following waterfowl hunting location permit was approved for the 2024 hunting season, and the permit holder subsequently received a renewal application packet. Permit number 70, Mark Reichman, wants to relinquish this to the wait list.
Second.
Seconded, Trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
I have Trustee Resolution 2024-327. It's a denial of a new waterfowl hunting location application for Glen Just in the Quad Canal.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
We have Trustee Resolution 2024-328. Waterfowl hunting location permits granting an exception. Board of Trustees find that the subject is a type 2 action. The following waterfowl hunting location permit was approved for 23 and 24, and the permit holder subsequently received a renewal application packet for permit number 249 and 250. Resolved that upon the renewal waterfowl hunting season, William Hutchinson requested an exception not to hunt, waiving Article 5, Section 38 of the Blue Book due to surgery.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Marin. All in favor?
Trustee Resolution 2024-329. denial of new waterfowl hunting location application of Peter McChesney, Cutler Lane, Remsenburg, New York, 11960. Can I get a second on this, please?
Second.
Seconded trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2024-330, authorizing the purchase of a power washer. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Seconded trustee Parsons, all in favor?
Aye.
You have Joe.
Joe?
Oh, sorry. 331.
Oh, sorry. This was in 330. Trustees, waives the 29 docs of application. This is for the North Sea fire boat for William Pond. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye. Trustee resolution 2024-332, that's a warrant 19 for 2024 for the trustees, for the sum of $40,440.64. The check register reads as automotive rentals, $384.43, Barneswell House of Tires, $678.96, Be Ready Fishbone Hatter, $968.75, Cornell Carpet Extension, $31,198, Fisher Signs and Shirts LLC, $660.40, General Code LLC, $124.80, Inner Science, $157.50, Joseph Lombardo, $2,400, Lopers Equipment, $339.94, James Olivo, $2,875, Riverhead Building Supply, $422.40, WB Mason Company Inc., $230.46 for a total of $40,464. Recommend its approval.
Second.
Seconded trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there any further discussions that the board would like to have at this point in time?
Good.
Is something else going on here?
I'm all
No,
good.
you're good? Trustee Parsons, you're good? Trustee Mayor,
Yeah,
you're good?
fine.
Trustee Warner, you good?
I'm good right now.
You're good. I'm good. We're all good. I think that we need executive session. Are we finished with executive session? Okay, so I would like to wish everybody a great afternoon and make a motion to adjourn our
I'll
meeting.
second that.
Seconded trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.